From the UFC trying to set up a title fight between these guys back in 2021 to Charles Oliveira pulling out of the match scheduled for 2023 due to injury, we've finally gotten confirmation that the fight's still happening. And it's going to be a big one, guys. Yep, Beneil Dariush might not be the most famous guy in the UFC, but at this point, I'm almost sure you've heard of him. His name's been tossed around every now and again for the last few years. I mean, the man's a beast, and he's the only fighter in the last 5 or 6 years to have gone on such an amazing win streak and not get a title shot. The man's on an 8-fight streak and at lightweight, and he definitely deserves that title fight. Still, he's slated to fight against Bronx in June of 2023. Now, this whole backstory for Dariush alone makes this upcoming fight with Oliveira extremely exciting, but you guys won't believe just how long this thing's been cooking for. That's right, it's been in the minds of the promotion and the fans alike since back in 2021 when Charles was the champion. I'm not exaggerating, this match genuinely came very close to happening, and it's been building up for a long time. Unfortunately though, something always seems to go wrong. That's right, the fight never happened. In fact, it got scrapped before the UFC even officially set a date. Honestly, this sort of thing really makes you feel for Beneil. I mean, imagine waiting 3 years, finally getting that title shot, and then watching it crumble away. Yeah, that's a pretty intense story, and it's almost on the same level as Leon Edwards' story and path to the title. As much as the UFC claims to make all the best fights, we all know some of these less exciting guys, you know, the respectful ones that don't talk smack, get left behind, and the only thing they can do to stay in the rankings is keep winning. Well, it looks like, just like for Leon, the constant presence at the top of the division finally came around for Dariush. Yep, I'm talking about how he was scheduled to fight Oliveira in May. And as big as this sounds, you've got to remember, Bronx isn't the champ anymore. That's right, the UFC decided to make the man wait for his shot at the title even longer. Anyway, the fight was still going to be huge, and it was going to put the 33-year-old one fight away from the title at most. Plus, this was the UFC's excuse to get Charles back into the mix. So you know they were going to sell this fight like crazy. Unfortunately though, just like with that first potential matchup, this one also fell through. Still, the fight was announced, and it was even put on the card for UFC 288. So it made it much farther than the first time. That doesn't make what happened any less tragic though. Yep, Oliveira pulled out again, and this time it was because of an undisclosed injury during training. I know, insane. Honestly, the fact that Beneil hasn't gone crazy yet makes me think he's the most patient man alive, because I'm literally losing my mind waiting for something to happen for this guy.
I was really upset, and then you know, this isn't our first booking. We were supposed to fight originally as well. I know one time I was offered to him, and I think he said no.
It seems like there's a curse around him right now, but this is the fight game, guys, and injuries happen. And even though we don't know what exactly went wrong with Charles, it's completely believable that he got hurt during his training. It just can't be helped, you know? Still, when I heard this news, I knew it would be ridiculous if the UFC made Dariush fight someone less important than Bronx. I mean, we need to do whatever we can to get this man to that title shot. Luckily, this fight's buildup has been insane, and Dana White decided to bless us with good news for our boy Dariush. Turns out, the fight didn't get cancelled. It was only postponed till June 2023. That's just 1 month, and now we know for sure that this fight's gonna happen. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited. I mean, it's like Chael Sonnen said, there's gonna be a lot on the line with this fight, and one of these two men will lose a lot as far as their career is concerned. But who? Well, there's a lot of reason to be worried for the Brazilian. I mean, think about it. The man was apparently injured badly enough that he had to pull out of a huge fight. A fight so big for his career that if he's able to win it, he's probably gonna get to fight again for the title. No small injury was gonna make a guy with so much on the line walk away, which makes me think this man's dealing with something that could severely affect his performance. Now, considering that his injury is probably pretty troublesome, this is about how little time he's getting to recover. Yep, only 1 month. That's pretty much nothing. Sure, a month's long enough for an injury to get a little better, but it's definitely not long enough for actual healing. And this is something that could end up costing the Dubronx the fight. This whole injury situation is even scarier when you consider the ex-champ's fighting style, since he relies heavily on jiu-jitsu. It means a lot of time is spent on the canvas and a lot of grappling. Now, if you know anything about MMA, you know how much work that takes. You need a monstrous gas tank and a very strong body to be able to dominate on the floor. And while Oliveira has both of those things, an injury to the hands, feet, or even shoulders could completely ruin his whole game. Depending on what this injury is, Dubronx might even be forced to not rely on his groundwork as much as he likes to. Plus, he's not against an amateur either. Dariush is a guy who could potentially even cause major problems for Islam Makhachev. So not being 100% against him is a huge issue. And I have mentioned his 8-fight win streak, right? Yeah, and no disrespect to Dubronx, but if there's anyone that can take advantage of the guy's injury, it's Beneil. The guy's starving for a shot at that title, and you can bet he's going to be going after Oliveira full throttle. He's going to be almost unbeatable in this fight, and the only way the Brazilian wins is if he's just as hungry and even more vicious. And an injury definitely threatens to get in the way of that. No matter how much Dubronx wants it, and no matter how much he's worked for it, the fact is that Dariush is amazing, and he's got something motivating him that won't let him stop at any point during the fight. Unless he completely fumbles the bag, you can expect to see Beneil use this injury to beat Charles at his own game. That's right, we might see this man out-grapple Dubronx. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see the sort of dominance we saw from Islam, because, like I said before, Oliveira is probably injured pretty badly, and he's only getting a month to get himself into fighting shape. Now, against a normal opponent, this may have been okay, but Beneil's just as much a master wrestler as Dubronx, and he's going to be able to win all of the exchanges on the canvas if Charles' ability to exert all of his strength is inhibited. In fact, knowing about the injury, Beneil's probably going to take this fight directly to the floor. No matter what the issue is, it's pretty much a done deal that Oliveira won't be able to give his 100% while grappling, and that's exactly how Dariush is going to win. Yep, and this wouldn't be just any old win either. It would put this guy right up there in the title picture, and I'd be shocked if the UFC decided not to give him the next shot at the lightweight belt.
To this, I'm gonna call out somebody. I'm feeling extra dangerous today. Dana White, Mick Maynard, I got a guy for you.
Well, there you have it. That was a breakdown of how Oliveira versus Dariush was delayed due to injury, and what this could mean.